Welcome to Cannabis School. I'm your host, Jesse Angeles.
And I'm Brandon Elder.
And we're here to talk to you about everything pertaining to cannabis, from vape,
flower,
edibles,
strains,
and everything in between.
It's a very, almost lightsaber green.
It's got some purple notes in the flower. I really love that. It has a lot of gassy notes in the bud.
I really can't tell there.
Probably not in that.
No, I'm just smelling the bowl.
But you can probably smell it in the grinder here.
Oh, it smells so good.
I gotta do little puffs.
Oh, so it doesn't wreck you?
Oh, man. What's nice about it, it's a very mild flavor. It's not super strong. One of the things I really enjoy about this strain, though, just thinking about it. Trying to think of where to place this, because it's slightly different than what I've had lately. Now, this is an Indica-dominant hybrid from what you told me.
It's supposed to be
It's pretty rare.
70-30.
Yeah, it's a rare type of strain, the cake.
With true Afghani. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And OG Kush. Oh, wow. So there's also another one that's similar to the cake, like birthday cake Kush. So it's very different than, wow.
Yeah.
Woo.
That's why I took little puffs throughout, because that helped out. I've been noticing even on my vaporizer, I use little puffs now. I just go,
okay.
Because, I mean, the science shows that, once it gets into your lungs, it's in your lungs. Holding it longer doesn't get it deeper in there.
Yeah, you get I think it's anything past 3 seconds is really just not.
It's just you holding in carbon dioxide.
Yeah, losing oxygen to your brain cells.
That's why you feel that way. But I love it. It says, it may not taste like actual cake, but this bud takes the cake. I'm feeling...
It's been decently heady for being an indica-dominant hybrid. I feel it pretty much, quite a bit in my head when I consume this strain.
So it's funny. It says that it'll loosen your tongue and your laughter, leaving you chatty and giggly at times. So I'm excited to see how this goes, because even the percentage, it's not a super high percentage THC.
No, it's saying it's average 15, 16, low teens.
Which is good too, because sometimes this is something that's happened lately. I'll get a strain, anything from Dragonfly. So they're typically pretty high in THC.
Yeah.
And I don't always like the experience that I have.
Well, we've noticed that Dragonfly, like some other brands, they have a THC distinction that sets them apart. So to be in Dragonfly, it has to meet within a specific THC range. Otherwise, they sell it as a lower brand quality because, it doesn't match the THC percentage that the market is going for.
Correct. And it makes it so again, the consumer's always pushing it. And unfortunately, consumers are taught just give me the one with the highest THC percent. It's like going to in Utah, there's a liquor store. In other states that are close to Utah-ish, they have liquor stores, but
they're just not state-run.
Yeah, they're not state-run. They're just liquor stores owned by people, or they're just in your local supermarket.
Grocery store, yeah.
But honestly, dude, it's like the higher the THC, it's higher the alcohol content. It doesn't always mean it's going to be better. It sometimes means it's just going to hit faster, and it's going to be
harder.
Yeah, or harder.
Everclear, 151, all of these things. You're cool. It's a higher alcohol percentage, but is the experience better?
It's so different now, dude. This has been a nice experience. So recently I've had a lot of sativa leaning strains, and it's good, but the effect, I know the effect. Unless it's a super strong sativa, I'm going to feel it and I'm going to be euphoric. But other than that, I'm going to be focused, but I'm not necessarily going to feel it as much. Now, an
Depends
indica,
on the strain, yeah.
Yeah, it really
Some of
does.
them hit weird even for being a sativa, and you're like, whoa. What?
Well, the local Magic. Magic is cool, high CBG, but I typically use that one for pain relief, and I have to remind myself of that. Which one is my... Purple Milk is a chill one.
Yeah.
It's a very nice one. Higher THC count. I think it's 18 to 19.
Oh, that's not bad.
Well, no.
Is it sold as...
No. It's 20. It's in the 20s.
Yeah, I was like, is it Dragonfly?
Yeah, it's Dragonfly.
Yeah, it's got to be 20s.
Yeah, and peach maraschino.
I loved peach maraschino. That thing was tasty.
It's tasty, but it's
the experience was
Yeah.
different.
It can hit differently, sometimes in the jaw. Remember when we made we did that with the delicata grapes. Yeah. It was a very strange edible experience.
Yeah,
But it was good.
It was. This is supposed to be a very like mellow and relaxing strain.
Oh yeah.
I feel like it's usually a pretty chill strain. It takes off a lot of the pain. This is the first bowl I've flamed flowered with.
It's been a while since that's the only one I can really do it off is Jetson.
This is really all I smoke from. If I actually do smoke, is Jetson.
Dude, my MJ Arsenal is Still Love. I think because I was smoking probably like 3 times a day out of that thing, it really started to fucking wreck my throat and my lungs. Like, you guys probably get the same thing. You ever get that phlegm rattle, it feels like, right? And it's just all that shit building up. The one thing I will say about vaporizers is that it has really carried me. Yeah, I cough still during it because you're breathing in warm air or hot air. I tend to now pull it in, hold it in my mouth for a second, then inhale, and it lessens the cough. But
yeah, like let it cool down in your mouth before you inhale it into your lungs.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Like as much as you can. And I used to be taking like huge ones because from a vaporizer, I don't see the clouds.
Yeah.
Unless you're in the right light.
Or the right temp, it depends on a lot of factors, because sometimes the vaporizer won't give me the same amount of smoke. Other times I'm like, oh, these clouds are incredible. It
usually depends upon the light, I've noticed, because I'm like, my wife she'll use it sometimes with me at night, and I'll be like, did you get anything? She goes, yeah, you didn't see that? And it's like you're right in front of it. It's like those that security screen you have, the screen protector, like where people can't see over your shoulder.
Well, like, yeah, if they're off to the side, it's black and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, before they used to annoy me, but now I'm like, I'd actually prefer that. So I don't have to feel like, somebody's watching me or they go, hey, what you looking at? Like, fuck off.
Well, or have you ever had that where you're texting someone and someone's like, what do you like? And you're like, this isn't your conversation.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to read my screen.
No, I think the biggest thing for me is like my wife, if you ask me a question and I'm texting and it's important, I'll stop and I'll answer you. But sometimes when I ask other people, I go, hey, I have a question for you, because they just asked me a question and they're in their phone.
Oh, yeah.
And that drives me insane. I'm like, you just asked me a question. Or I start talking to somebody like one of my family members and they're on their phone. I'm like, and all it made me think was,
that's how our kids feel. If they ever come to us and we're on our phone, if they're just like, hey, and we're on our phone in that moment. And they're just like,
I've done that before. I'm more conscious of it now. I just go, let's put this down. Like, even like today, dude, like today's the day where, we record and then I go pick my kids up from school, right? And instead of having this plan to either work with ChatGPT on some of the stuff I'm building out or playing a game, I brought a book.
Wow.
I'm going to change it up. Like, I've been reading a lot. I've been listening and reading a lot of religious text. And then just because I've been in the Bible, it's been fun. Because I get to listen to this British dude who's got like the best tone and everything. Like the way he does it, I'm like, oh, I never thought of it that way. But I need to read more books. And so I just said, you know what it's been lately. And I think all of us feel it, dude. Like, you ever get to the point where you're on your phone and you're consuming and you just feel gross? Like you're eating yet another fast food meal today. Like you're just like,
well, it was like last night.
What am I doing?
Emily had gone to bed. Addie had gone to bed. It was just me chilling. I'm like, I don't want to work on anything right now. I don't need to do this. I don't feel like playing a game. So I put on a show and then I pulled out my phone and I like opened a social media app and I'm like, what am I doing?
What am I doing? Yeah.
And then I put my phone back down and 10 minutes later I pick up my phone, open a social, and I'm like, what? And not to do anything, but just the stupid habit that's been so formed, ingrained in me of like, oh, well, I'm sitting here, even if I'm doing something else.
Well, it's just like anything else, man. I mean, the majority of people are addicted to, like clinically, by the term, addicted to their technology. And
oh, probably, yeah, 100%.
It worse than, I know people that have lost marriages from video games. Like StarCraft or
whatever the one, something like that.
Star something.
I knew a
probably
guy
StarCraft.
and he had gotten married and he didn't work at all. Like he was ex-Marines, he stopped. His wife worked. He'd gotten married, his wife worked. He did absolutely nothing every day but play whatever Star, whatever World of Warcraft or whatever it was all day long. He wouldn't leave the room.
That's weird.
And I'm like, how in the hell? And his wife would go work. And then she'd come home and she's frustrated and stuff. And it put this massive damper on their relationship. And I'm like, well, yeah.
Yeah, there was a guy I worked with at the state hospital. He was one of the nurses there. And somebody was talking about a computer game. Back then, computer games were the thing. Like you had the PlayStation 1, maybe the 2, if you could afford it at the time. And PC games were still pretty strong. They've always been really strong. But I was talking about a certain PC game, and this guy's like, what? I don't even remember the game, but I just remember this interaction. And the guy's like, what game you guys playing? I'm like, and he goes, oh, I thought it was StarCraft or something like that. I think it's StarCraft. And I was like, oh, yeah. Are you a big fan of the game? Huge fan. Had to stop playing it. And I was like, oh, too good or just lost your time? He goes, no, the wife left for a little bit. And all of a sudden it went from this story like nobody, and he talked like it was funny. Nobody talks like that going, yeah, the wife left me because I was addicted to fentanyl.
Yeah.
And she was sick and tired of shooting Narcan up my nose. Like that was how he was talking about it.
Huh.
But nobody really gets into it, that the technology, not just video games, but technology in itself, it can be this weird portal that you get sucked into and that time disappears because it's not that you're doing something productive. You could do anything productive. It's just, what would you rather use that time for? Hang out with your family members, get to know one of them. But the thing is, dude, I've done this. I felt annoyed when my kids come up and ask me a question when I just want to play a game or dink around on my phone. And I go, I had to stop myself going, why am I getting upset? And I'm like, what do you need? I'm like, yeah, cool, let's do that.
It's because we have become so ingrained in what our life is. And our life is, well, right now, this moment, whatever second it is. And my mind goes, I need to be on my phone. I need to be entertained at this very moment.
I don't think it's a need. It's just like it's that scratch.
It's the addiction.
Yeah,
it's the need, but it's unconscious need at this point because it's not. Hey, my brain's not going like I'm not thinking. I need to be on my phone.
It's like meth heads who scratch and pick.
Yeah, it's not on purpose. They're not doing it. It's they just unconsciously.
Yeah, it's a tick.
Like and I feel like that's the
tick.
Same thing that we've developed in our society is like this tick of. I've got a moment, I've got this, now I exist on my phone. But even then, like, you see how many people interact out in public versus just you go out to the store and everyone's...
Yeah.
And I'm like, how many conversations aren't even had in grocery store lines or at the supermarket or walking past someone anymore because we're just so much like...
Yeah, right in our phone.
And I see that even driving. I pull up, not even at a stop sign, and I'm seeing all the people next to me and they're staring at their phones and that as they drive. And I'm like, how bad is it that our society is so addicted to this thing that I am this important? I am this important that I need to respond to whatever it is, whatever notification, or it's the Pavlov's bell. We've basically trained ourselves to, the notifications. Oh, my phone vibrated. It dinged at this. So now I've got to grab my phone. I've got to check it. I've got to do this to reward myself with, whatever thing that comes after that.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's subconscious. It's not conscious.
Yeah. It's 100% unconscious at this point.
Yeah, the subconscious is driving because that's what does everything, right? Runs your organs and everything like that. Even cannabis is being run by the subconscious, where the mind is like, okay, hey, we're doing pretty good right now. I don't think we need that. It won't even let you register it. It's always in check. It's like our bodies are the Death Star and we have all these little people inside there like running it to make sure it does everything while we can go on about our day. And when we reintroduce things such as technology, I remember like all of that stuff, it's all in the name of efficiency. That's what it starts as. And then it's like, hey, I think everybody else would really like this. And then it starts growing. They're like, hey, we can make money from this. And why not? Why not? Why not make money from that? But at the same time, I think we'll get to a certain point where it'll kind of wean off.
God, I hope so.
It'll turn better. The technology will be better. It'll be less prominent in hands and stuff like that. Like, honestly, I see the world going towards a lot of the glass. Like, there's
The glass.
Google Glass.
Oh, yeah. Like
but
the
they
Ray-Ban.
have all sorts of really cool ones now, more AR driven.
Yeah. Even Ray-Bans ones that are meta.
Well, there are 3 countries, right, or 4 countries right now that have they have super advanced exoskeletons. So fully plated armor around the body, but the headset is the craziest part. It's all so you can see
The headset?
yeah, inside the headset, from what I understand, and I could be wrong, but from what I heard from another individual who looked into this, more militarist person, it'll have like it's a full HUD display, like in
crazy.
a first-person shooter.
Weird.
So everything is sunk up, and I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it had your body temp, your heart rate, all that stuff. But it's completely enclosed, and the Russians have one too that's pretty badass. And another country, but it's like, dude, it's nuts. Like, even there, they've got to go where we all thought there was going to be robots. Like, Elon was talking recently with a guy, and he's just like, they were talking about AI, and he's like, within the next 5 years, it'll be extremely advanced. Within 10 years, it'll be just as smart, if not smarter than a human.
Well, yeah. I mean, you look at 10 years ago with cell phones. It was the very first iPhone.
I know.
Well, no, 15. 15-ish, because Finn was about 1 when I was in Kentucky.
Well, you take
So,
the
But still.
generation of the iPhone, and you pretty
Yeah.
much know what year you're.
But I'm looking at it, I'm like, 15 years ago, there was the 3GS that I was using. Could do some cool stuff.
I had the
nothing like this.
Sidekick. Do you remember the Sidekick?
I do.
I love doing that, dude. That was like my favorite thing. Like, but it had a full keyboard,
I know.
which I loved, and it was tactile, like the buttons
I
you
had
press down.
So I had an issue with texting. I would text all the time.
Were you one of those guys that could T9 in his pocket without looking?
Yeah, I would T9 while I would drive because I never had to look at my phone.
Oh,
I would
that's fucking
T9 while
weird.
talking to my grandma because she could talk to me and I would never have to look. I'd just glance and go, oh, they said this. And so for me, T9 was amazing because it didn't require me to visibly look at it. It was just, I had it all memorized and it was so simple.
That's so funny.
So I would text all the time, and I think it was 40-something thousand texts I had sent in 1 month.
Is that when they
On
used to
a
charge for
T9
text, or did you guys have unlimited?
I had unlimited at that point.
But you could still get a report on it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So every month they would tell us our text, and it was like I had 40-something.
Shit.
Yeah, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, are you on a Sidekick?" I was like, "No, I'm on like this Nokia T9 style," and they were like, "What?" Like, I don't. That's just how I text.
Dude, during that time when that was really big, I was working at the
Mhm.
hospital as a supervisor there, and dude, I used to get pissed off at all my early 20 kids that come in there and they'd be doing that, and I'm like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? I'm just texting. Text on your own fucking time, dude. I need your eyes and ears here. And they would always get upset about it, but when I would see it, there was a kid, it reminded me, just memory came back. On the news, local news, there was a kid in Orem who had the world record
Mhm.
in the fastest T9 typing. He
That's
was
crazy.
insanely fast.
Huh.
And he wouldn't even look at it. He was talking to the reporter while he was
Mhm.
texting. And I'm just like, that's...
Yeah, it was so.
If we were
weird.
to stop there, though, that's pretty impressive. I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
do that on my iPhone,
I can text and not look.
but I can't do it one-handed.
My phone's huge,
Yeah, mine too.
so
why do we need huge phones? Because we watch TV on it.
yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna get
just
a
for
smaller
all
one.
the other
next one I
shit.
get, just for
I love the recording one. It's the 12 Pro Mini or 12 Mini.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like this big, but at the same time, I like the camera difference. I like the battery life difference.
I could
And I
say
just
that,
don't
but I
get
don't give
that
a fuck.
Same. Yours is old as hell.
Well, mine's the iPhone XR,
Yeah, I know.
and I've been rocking this thing for days. Like, I've got the cool new colors that run across your screen.
Yeah, you have to pay to get that upgrade. It's like a Apple special.
Yep.
It's quite funny though. I don't know. I have thought I've been really impressed because I've actually seen people who have gotten like old school phones now. You can get like the flip phones or the.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've seen flip phones coming back.
How would that be? Like no more apps on a phone. Just go 100.
Legit.
Almost, dude.
I would feel like you go, because when I would go camping back in the day, dude, my phone was in my bag.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't fucking care. I was there with my friends. We didn't have cell service,
No.
and we didn't care. We beat that, dude. That's funny.
Well, there was no games. I mean, there was maybe Snake on your phone.
Yeah.
But there's no real games.
Or was it Minefield?
Yeah, you're not going through like spending all this time on your phone. Like there's not a high tech camera going, oh, I'm taking all these pictures.
No.
You don't have music stored on there or podcasts. It was literally just.
Well, it probably started out like, cool, we could put images on this, and hey, we can save so much cost without having to spend on another level of material being made.
I mean, it's a brilliant device. I truly love it.
But it's also very limiting.
Yeah.
It's extremely limiting. Because now, what if it doesn't, I mean, like power-wise, dude, our old Nokias,
It'd last forever.
yeah, almost all fucking week.
And this, it's like, oh, cool. Halfway through the day, gotta charge it.
I had one of those Nokias that they made fun of on Zoolander. There was this.
The itsy bitsy tiny one?
Yeah, I had one about this big. About that. It was like a little over an inch wide.
Was it the Sprint one or whatever, and it flipped up?
Nope.
Okay.
It was a hard Nokia with an indigo screen. The sales rep sold me on it, and I was furious I had to pay $400 for it.
Oh, they were so expensive.
Back then, yeah. But I mean, you think
In
about it now,
comparison.
you're like, geez, fucking hell. Like the folding phones. Like, how fucking stupid do you got to be? Get a fucking flip phone. Because if you're like, oh, this will be great, nothing bad will ever happen with this.
Right?
This is going to fucking break, dude.
Yeah, my friend got the one with the bendy screen and the new Android one. Or
I would
whatever.
only see it where after time it's going to get a crease.
I know, right? Or have some issue, something.
I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know how that shit works, but it's cool, but it's just unnecessary. And I think it's just now for the novelty.
Okay, so this, now that it's settled in, dude, it's a very...
Very talkative, very chill strain. Oh, dude, I'm relaxed.
Yeah.
I feel good. I don't know so much on the pain relief scale.
It's done some, but it's not like high...
I don't have a lot of pain right now.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
Dude, my body's been feeling fantastic.
Oh, yeah, because you're on some tea and doing the
TRT,
gym all
yeah.
the time, so...
Well, I do gym probably about 4 times minimum a week, but it's crazy, dude. I was telling my wife, I'm like, I feel like my bones are stronger. And it's true. Your bone density will go up the heavier weight that you lift. And I feel like when I was 21, dude, like I was telling my wife, I was like, it feels fucking weird. Like the amount of weight I was pushing,
Yeah.
I just felt like it was light. And I'm like, I got to go up because I'm going to get bored. And, and I'm seeing my oldest son, he's over there pressing this weight. And I'm like, oh man, I remember when it was tough because I'm over here like throwing it like it's a broom handle. And I'm like, okay, slow down. Don't do it so fast. And my son's like struggling to push
Yeah,
it
but
up.
he's not on tea right now either, though, is he?
No, but his T is
Yeah.
higher than mine. That's the
Have
thing.
you gotten him tested?
Oh, all kids are. That's just a scientific fact. No. The kids are going to range anywhere from 800 to 1200. 1200 on the really high. Those are your high performance kids who are playing ball, crap like that, like constantly pushing. And yeah, no, most teenagers have extremely high testosterone. That's why the experts always talk to these younger guys like getting on testosterone and doing bodybuilding. Yeah, you're going to get huge, but at the same time, you're fucking your body up. Like you more than likely are going to be sterile, more than likely, because steroid use shrinks. It doesn't produce as much testosterone, which makes it's really hard to conceive. Like
Interesting.
the guy Mike, Dr. Mike I was telling you about, he's off TRT for a full year and he's like, I hate it. But the thing is that he may have been just using it as that one worked out maybe once or twice a week. But I've been working out pretty consistently for years. But now I just feel better, dude. Like my bones feel stronger. Like I don't have as much aches and pains. Like, the downside is like I was giving myself a shot yesterday and this shit's thick and I'm not pushing it in. And I don't know why, but I kind of moved a little bit or I was trying to adjust to get it in there and it came right out.
Oh, dang.
I'm like, wipe it down again.
Had to stick it back in.
Yeah. Got to put it in my butt. But anyways,
That's what you're into.
but the pain, like there's a little bit there that I have, but what I really like about this strain is how like chill it is. It's not euphoric. Lights are not there. You
Yeah.
feel a little bit
They're
on
not
your
muted
eyes.
or bright. They're
It's just regular.
pretty normal.
Yeah. Cotton mouth.
Really?
Cotton
I don't
mouth
feel
for
like
me.
I have very bad cotton mouth.
There you go. It's mine.
That's okay. I do, like, it's decently in my head. Not as in overwhelming, but just my main area I feel that I feel it is more in my head.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's just
It's a little floaty.
Yeah, it's a little floaty, but not dumb. I don't
No,
feel
no.
slow in any way. Just truly like light, happy, mellow, kind of floaty strain.
Oh, like last night I had mango OG and I had probably about 30 milligram of an edible. And that was like an hour before. And I was talking to my wife and I puffed on that a little bit because we had help. She has bad migraines and she's super stressed right now. So it's always constantly coming. Probably about once a week she's having a reoccurrence. And she has a medication that she can take that will stop it. And it's very effective. And so we're very grateful because it'll get rid of it within about a half hour. Well, last night, it wasn't working for some reason. The body's just like, not tonight.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, crap. She's like, well, do you have anything to smoke? And I'm like, so I go to chat, name off all the strains that I currently have. And I'm like, which of these would be the best for migraine and for pain? And it's like, dude, most of these are sativa based. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. I'm like, I thought one of these got to be fucking indica. I'm like, okay, so I got mango OG. Would mango OG work? And it said, yes, but if it's a migraine, take a dose of CBD. And so we did CBD and 2 hits off of that pen. And within about 15 minutes, the headache left the front.
Mm-hmm.
And within a half hour, it was completely gone.
So when Finn gets headaches, because he gets them regularly, CBD actually helps fantastic with his headaches. And I don't think about that all the time because I hardly ever get them. Like, it's so rare for me to get something. And if I do, I'm going to go smoke something real fast. But CBD has actually been this fantastic thing for that. So I don't know, maybe try that next time too, see if that helps. Because...
Oh, yeah. And Chad had said that. It's like, a mix of CBD and an indica is great for pain and headaches.
Yeah.
So if you're doing that and if you're starting to get a little bit of headaches or you're getting aches and pains, find yourself a good indica. Mango OG is a relatively, it's up there, but it's very nice. It's calming. And I think that's the biggest thing about indicas is the anti-inflammatory is much higher than you will find in your sativa strains.
Oh, yeah. Because most of the sativa, you don't really feel, like, I don't feel like there's a terpene or cannabinoid that's really hitting that the same.
Yeah.
They're way good for focus and everything else, but not really just getting into the chilled, relaxing, the, melting of the pain or aches and just crap that we live with.
Yeah, true. Very true. No, this is a really good strain, guys. It's short-lived. I will say that. It'll go pretty quickly through your body. I still feel good, but I'm not like when we first started. It was a really nice uplift.
I feel it way more in my cheeks now, in the bottom of them, which is very interesting.
I just feel it like right around my eyes, like real soft. It's just super. It's a very soft strain. 15%. I know a lot of people are like, dude, that's not enough. Look at the terp profiles, people. Just look at those. And again, this is something I saw just recently, and I'll leave it for you to kind of say, give you your thoughts on this one too before we take off. But I saw this thing where this woman just went on all this thing like the strains are bullshit and da-da-da-da, and it based on all these things. But then you started seeing some ethnobotanists that were commenting down below, and they're like, yeah, but some of your the majority of your landrace strains, those ones were cultivated over many, many, many years, hundreds of years even. And so to say that strains don't mean anything, it helps to identify the terpene
genetic line that it comes from,
where you are.
Yeah.
And you can be called the same thing anywhere else, which I thought was funny. They're like, oh, it's all marketing. Like, not really. And it was funny because the lady's like, oh, you'll never get sleepy on sativa. You'll always get sleepy on indica. And this guy's like, it sounds like you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because that's
okay.
But they come for, and that's the thing that I've been seeing lately is a weird pushback on cannabis again, where they're like, is it really bad for you? Like, I got sent this video, this doctor who his first thing, he's like, I've scanned Miley Cyrus's brain and Justin Bieber's brain. And the two thoughts that come to my head is, who cares?
Yeah. And when did you do it? What other things are in their system? What were you testing for?
Especially those two.
It's just going, hey, I've done this. Okay, but does that data correlate with what you're actually about to say at this moment?
The guy looks like, if you're in the political sphere, you know who Roger Stone is.
Yeah.
He kind of looks like Roger Stone, or that guy who led Heaven's Gate, that cult where they castrated themselves and killed themselves.
I don't know what he looks like, but sure.
Just look at him, and that's the guy. If you look at Roger Stone, he looks like Roger Stone. White hair, crazy eyes. And that's this guy. He's like, oh yeah, I've done all these scans. And then he comes off as an authority.
Yes.
Because he goes on to podcasts and he starts telling people, oh, I'm a doctor and you should listen to me. It's like Dr. Oz, it's like Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil's not even a fucking doctor. And so it's
interesting.
No, he never got his doctorate.
So then they just called him Dr. Phil?
No.
I've never looked into it. So.
Oprah did. Oprah created him.
Weird.
But I mean, he's very good at what he does. And a lot of people have a tremendous amount of respect for him for that reason, that he's good at what he does. So it's like, cool. But that's where I have this issue where even if you have the moniker of doctor in front of it, I don't fucking care. You could be the dumbest guy in the world who just passed courses.
Well, so yes.
Yeah.
There's a person who married my ex-wife who may or may not fit in that category.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Or even like my dad's current wife, where she is very smart in her specific niche, her specific field.
Yeah.
But then she gets so frustrated, like Curtis, Alec, and I were all talking. Now, we're not in medical, we're all tech. So we have a whole different type of language that we speak in things. We were all sitting there on a Sunday and we were just talking. I don't even remember what it was we were talking about, just a normal everyday conversation for the three of us. And Kayleen looks at us and she's like, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. It sounds like you're talking a different language. And it's like, that's okay. You have your area of expertise and knowledge. And it's like when they have their, PhD or doctorate or whatever, and like, I'm so smart. I'm like, that's fantastic. You got your area of expertise. But when they come into every other area and go, well, I'm a doctor. Well, but that's not pertinent here. That's not relevant in this situation. And it actually doesn't mean anything in this moment that you have a special degree from a certain place. Right. Because it has nothing to do with what we're actually discussing. And they're like, well, but I'm a doctor. Well, I don't give a shit.
Most doctors are they just respond to symptoms. That's it.
Yeah,
and then they give
symptomatic
medications.
Treating.
So I don't really consider, I have met more medical professionals in what I used to do, the functional medicine. Mm-hmm. There's real medicine practice there. A lot of tests, a lot of understanding, getting down deep.
Because it's actually understanding what causes the the symptom. So it's more of root addressing, where most Western medicines is more symptomatic treating. And so we throw medications and stuff at it going, this'll fix it.
Well, because they put correlation to causation, and they just assume that that's what's going to happen after, they will be healed based upon 5 other people that did this regimen.
Yeah.
And that's a good litmus, because then you're like, okay, well, there's a baseline. But then you have to adjust, and that's the part that I have a problem with really intelligent people or people who are educated in one field. It's like, cool, that's great. You know your thing. Now do your thing.
Yeah.
You don't need to know everything. I'm above dangerous on knowing certain things like medical stuff and mechanic work and all of us are. I mean, well, not all of us, but like you and I are. We have a lot of random skills that people will be
and knowledge that I'm like, I don't feel like this is really relevant to 99% of my life.
No, but I mean, you have the knowledge.
But I've got this random shit here for, shits and giggles.
If you're a neurodivergent, you know what we're talking about. But it just goes with it. When I start seeing these medical things come out and somebody goes, what do you think about this? Because I get sent that shit all the time. And I'm like, fucking, it's somebody's opinion. That's an opinion.
Yeah.
And he's going, oh, I've seen the results. It makes your brain slower. If you use it when you're a kid, this is what the guy said. You are more prone to anxiety. Okay, I could see that. but you're also more prone to suicide. And that was the line that's like, you are fucking fear-mongering, you
I would
cunt.
I'd be very curious to see what data they have, because
there's no data.
Exactly, because there's never been any study or test done on a child with cannabis. And so when we have that, we're like, there is no data. So every data that they've compiled going, this is what happens in our kids, is a load of bullshit pulled from a million different sources to go, this is what the data says.
Right.
But it's not. It's data collected from a million different places going, this data points to this. And you're like, this data points to 10 million different things, and you're saying it points to one.
Well, and then, you know, you get both proponents. You get both sides going, well, what about the Tel Aviv studies with kids and cannabis and all that? Yeah, but it was a small study group. Like, this needs to take over years. And that's why,
well,
like...
what was the dose? What was the quality?
Right.
What was the terpene or cannabinoid? What other interactions of medications did that child have? What other pre-existing conditions?
Yeah.
You know, mental things. What was their background as far as genetics, even, you know?
Yeah, and there's so many things that go into play. So many things.
You can't have, and that's the problem, is they look at it and they're like, well, we need double-blind studies. Well, we don't have single-blind studies for this. So how are we going to get double-blind studies?
We should do the Pepsi challenge. Smoke
Right?
this joint. Okay.
All right, now smoke this joint.
All right, do you feel like committing suicide?
Right?
Wait a minute. Are you feeling anxious? Like, yeah, my heart's racing. Like, once you understand why your heart's racing, you don't get anxious anymore. You really don't. You can control it. Like, you're like, oh my gosh, the heart's going like crazy. I'm like, no. This is the cannabinoids getting into my system. It's speeding up my heart rate to get it in there faster.
But even in those moments then, like you said, I don't feel anxious about it. I feel calm.
I feel a change.
Yeah, and I
just
feel calm. I'm like, cool, my blood is pumping fast.
That means
However,
it's getting in there.
I am okay. So why stress about it if I know I'm okay and I know my blood's just moving fast? Well, is something going on? No.
Yeah,
no.
well.
Okay, well, I don't need to feel anxious, so, just be.
And that's why, like, it's so important to find the right strain for you.
Yeah.
And strains. And you should definitely experiment, because one of the things that I've learned over the years is that the more I experiment with different strains, the more I can tell based upon when you smoke it at first, you can tell if this is going to be a good experience or not.
Oh, yeah.
And 9 times out of 10 it is. Like, there's every once in a while you're like, I don't know.
Well, and most of the time I feel like it comes down to, could it be a crappy grower? Is there pesticides or something else in there potentially that caused your experience to be shitty?
How old is this shit?
Yeah, or just like really old, gross, stale bud. Or, it's terribly grown and it's full of sticks and stems and seeds. That gives, I mean, it's been decades, but the last time I did, I would get headaches when I smoked that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I can imagine that if you're doing something like that, or very subpar quality, you might have just garbage experiences.
Well, kids, what do you think?
Yeah.
Go down below. Tell us what you think. And love the comments coming in. Go check out Cannabis School. Go check out our website. It's awesome. We're going to be adding more things to it. We put a little bit of hiatus. We want to be super honest with you guys. It's super funny. We are trying to be able to grow this to bring more information to you. And in doing so, we got our website blacklisted. We can't send emails anymore. So we got a new URL that's going to come out pretty soon.
Be migrating it towards that.
Yeah, but
I just got too excited. Like, oh my God.
No.
Tell everyone.
This is both of us. This is both of us. We are just so excited. We want to keep pushing. We know it's going to take time. But yeah, if you guys have sent us some email and it hasn't got through, that's why. But anyways, yeah. And
stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Tune in next week and see you then.
Yeah. See you at the sesh.